welcome back to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and welcome to the second Vlogmas video that I am doing. So in case you missed the first video, what I have been doing for Vlogmas, instead of just posting a video every single day, I decided I'm going to vlog every day and post weekly videos because that's just easier for me. So the books that I am reading this week, I am in the middle of a couple different books. I am reading Little Women. Right now I have finished chapter 10, so I'm not super far into it, but I'm absolutely loving it. It's so cozy and sweet. And then I'm also reading the Iliad as part of the Eclectic Book Club run by David Wiley and Shelley Swearingen. I am reading the Robert Fagles translation, as you might be able to see on the cover, and I've kind of had just a whole thing with translations, which I talked about in my first Vlogmas video. So I have completed book 2 of the Iliad. I'm supposed to be on book 6 today, and I'm totally behind. So, but that's okay. I will probably catch up. The other book that I would like to finish this week is Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. I started this in November for Nonfiction November and just didn't get around to finishing it, which is fine. I'm like halfway through it, so I feel like I could probably get this book done this week, and this is not a buddy read, so I don't have to read it at any certain pace. So it would be nice if I was able to finish this one, because I'm really loving it, and I've had to set it down for a little while because I've been working through some buddy reads. It would also be nice if I could finish Little Women this week. I don't know if I will or not, but I'm just loving it so much. I feel like everyone tries to figure out which sister they're most like or which sister they like the most, but quite honestly, as I'm reading this, like so far, Marmee is like the hero of the story for me, and I think that this would be different if I had read it when I was younger, but because I'm an adult, I think I see so much of her wisdom and so much of her just beautiful spiritual advice that is so meaningful and so special. So I am just loving that and just want to read it all the time. I also thought I would share, I got some book mail, and so I figured I would show you what I got. It's only one book, so I didn't feel like I needed to do a book haul video or save it for another book haul video, but I got This Beautiful Truth by Sarah Clarkson. This is a book that I am planning, can you hear the kittens? That I'm planning to buddy read with Christy Lewis from Dostoevsky in Space at some point this month, so it took a while to get here, and it's finally here, and it just sounds like it will be a very beautiful and meaningful book to read around this time of year. It is not a Christmas book at all, but it is a spiritual nonfiction that's, about God. It says how God's goodness breaks into our darkness, and it just sounds really lovely. So those are my reading plans for this week. We will see how this week goes. Last week I did not get much reading done until like Sunday because I was so busy. And today is Monday. This is Monday afternoon, Monday, December 6th. And today has been marvelously chill day because every day for the past like 3 weeks, I have either had house guests or been gone for a good chunk of the day. And today I haven't had to go anywhere. It's been amazing, and actually, as far as I know, I don't have to be anywhere tomorrow either. So, just soaking up the goodness of being home, because while I like to adventure and do fun things, like, oh my goodness, really ultimately, I am a homebody, and I love it when I get to be home, and today is one of those days. So, I am just enjoying that and not really being super productive, which is awesome. I mean, I edited a video today, and I'm doing laundry, but it's like chill. It's not like I'm like scrubbing things down or things like that. So it's just been really relaxing and nice and restorative to my mind and my body. It's been great. So I hope to get a good chunk of reading done this afternoon. Guys, I'm winning at updating this week. I did actually record some clips yesterday, but I did no updating in terms of reading, but that's okay. Here we are. It's Wednesday. I completed Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson, and oh my word, what a book. If you have not read this book, particularly if you live in the United States, please read it. I don't know a lot about the prison system or the justice system within the United States, and this book was really eye-opening to me. I will say that it's more of a memoir than it is like an academic book, so there are some statistics, there are some things in there that were really startling to me, but he takes a lot more time to share about individual cases that he's worked on. The overarching one being the Walter McMillian case, where it was a man who was unjustly accused and was on death row, so he would have died for a crime that he didn't commit at all, and there was even reasonable evidence to prove that he did not do it, but there was so much corruption within the judicial system and the police that it was just kind of pushed through. So a lot of this book was very heartbreaking. I did cry multiple times while I was reading it, and even put it down for a time because I began this book in November, but I put it down for a time because it was getting really heavy. But the writing style is super engaging, and I actually read the second half of this book within like a day and a half. So that tells you like how immersive and engaging it was, because I was really afraid it would just be kind of dry facts, and it wasn't. It is very heart-wrenching and sad, but also so good. So I do recommend this to anybody really, but especially someone who lives in America. I think it's important for us to know about the injustices that are actually taking place far more often than they should. Bryan Stevenson doesn't just talk about injustices towards minorities, but towards poor people in general, and disabled people, and even children who are on death row or have life in prison and stuff. So he alternates between the story about Walter McMillian's case specifically, and then in between inserts chapters of other cases he's worked on or other groups of people that he has helped or felt passionate about. So it's a really wonderful book, and I don't think you have to agree with everything that he is saying or proposing and how to change the system in order for it to really impact you and mean a lot to you and open your eyes to some of the things that are happening that we do need to change in our country. I have not picked up the Iliad in a couple days, which is really bad because I'm really behind. I think, what's today? The 8th? I'm supposed to be reading book 8 today, and guess what? I've read through book 2 and that's it. So I'm very behind, but this is a lighter reading week in terms of buddy reads, so I'm hopeful I can do some catching up even if I'm not all the way caught up. I have been reading some more of Little Women, but I've mostly been reading Just Mercy. I've just kind of been flying through that. I was really in the mood for it, so I just decided to finish it up. But I'm loving this book too, as I'm sure you know. Marmie's just my hero. I just love everything about her. I just love the advice that she gives to her daughters. I mean, this is a conversation she was having with Joe about her temper, and Joe is just a firecracker and has a hard time when she gets angry, and Marmie reveals that she has always been the same way, which really surprises Joe because Marmie just seemed perfect and under wraps all the time to her, but Marmie explains that this has been the process of years of learning to control her temper and having her husband to help check her and having God to help her. And I just love this quote that she says. She says, "My child, the troubles and temptations of your life are beginning and may be many, but you can overcome and outlive them all if you learn to feel the strength and tenderness of your heavenly Father as you do that of your earthly one. The more you love and trust him, the nearer you will feel to him, and the less you will depend on human power and wisdom. His love and care never tire or change, can never be taken from you, but may become the source of lifelong peace, happiness, and strength. Believe this heartily and go to God with all your little cares and hopes and sins and sorrows as freely and confidingly as you come to your mother." I just love it. Marmie has like the best advice, and she has advice about vanity for Meg, and I'm sure she will have advice for others of the girls as the book continues, but Marmie's my hero. She is just the mother I aspire to be to my daughter. So it's Wednesday. Wednesday is archery practice day for my daughter and also prayer meeting at our church this evening. So the afternoon is a little busy, but I like to take a book along with me and read in the car when Claire is at her practice. So we'll probably be doing some of that. And I really need to start batches of Christmas cookies. I've really been slacking on that. And I have stuff going on next week. 2 different events that I need to have Christmas cookie platters for. So I need to not leave it all till next week or I will feel so overwhelmed. So I should probably start some cookie dough this afternoon also. It's Thursday. Thursdays are a really busy day for us, so I really don't usually get very much done in terms of reading because we're gone pretty much all the day for our homeschool group. And then tonight I have a Zoom with a bunch of people who read Letters to a Diminished Church last month, including Christy Lewis from Dostoevsky in Space and Victoria from A Musical Bookworm, but I'm sure there's going to be quite a few other people on there as well. I did get quite a bit more read of Little Women between last night and this morning. I am now like creeping up on the halfway point. Not quite there yet. I just finished chapter 20 and goodness, it's just so beautifully written. I feel so connected to the characters, and the March family has definitely been going through some hardships, which the book makes it clear that they've definitely seen hardships in general because the father had lost his fortune and then had gone away to war. So there were those kind of hardships, but they're experiencing hardships now that their family really hasn't seen before. And it was really emotional. I got choked up during parts of it. And once again, I love Marmee. I love this quote. She's talking to Meg about love. And she says, "My dear girls, I am ambitious for you, but not to have you make a dash in the world, marry rich men merely because they are rich, or have splendid houses, which are not homes, because love is wanting. Money is a needful and precious thing, and when well used, a noble thing. But I never want you to think it is the first or only prize to strive for. I'd rather see you poor men's wives if you were happy, beloved, contented, than queens on thrones without self-respect and peace." Marmee's just so wise. I love her so much. I know I keep saying that, but it's still true. So I hope to get some more of this read. I'm going to bring it with me to my homeschool group, but the last few times I've been talking with people and haven't had a chance to read. But there was one week where I didn't bring a book and like none of the people I normally sit with or talk to showed up. And so I was just sitting by myself, kind of bored and wishing I had brought a book. So I am bringing a book today, just in case. Hello, it is a super gloomy morning here. So I'm just kind of chilling and taking it easy. I didn't end up doing the Zoom call for Letters to a Diminished Church last night, which was really sad because I did not love it as much as some of the other people who are in the group. So I was really eager to hear their thoughts on the book and what they loved about it, because I didn't hate the book. I mentioned it in my November wrap-up. I did enjoy it, but I didn't rave about it because I felt like some of it just didn't connect with me as much. And so I love hearing people's thoughts for books that really connected with them that didn't as much with me, and just hearing their takes on stuff. But I didn't end up getting on it because I have some chronic health issues that have been flaring up really bad the past probably like 3 weeks or so. It's not something I've ever mentioned on my channel. I don't know, because you're not here for that. So I don't really ever talk about it. And also, like, I want to be like a positive place, not a place where it seems like I'm complaining about things. But last night I just felt like I needed to go to bed early and rest, and that really helped. And I feel a little better today, and today's gloomy and we don't have to go anywhere. So I plan to take it easy today too. We are going to do some school, but that's about all I have planned. We might finally make some cookies too. I keep saying I'm going to, but I think we probably will actually make cookies, because that's not, I mean, it's kind of labor intensive, but not the same as like running errands or cleaning my whole house or anything like that. So the only book I really read at all yesterday was Little Women. I am now 4 chapters into part 2, about 300 pages into the book. So I am now like past the halfway point, and I keep saying it, but it's true. This book has been bringing so much joy and comfort to me and making me feel so cozy and so happy. So I've really just been investing all my reading time in this. We're at the point in the story, this is not spoilery to say because I'm not going to say who, but we're at the point in the story where Meg has just gotten married. She's the oldest of the 4 sisters. She's the first one to get married. And so there's just kind of this excitement and joy and celebration, but also this sorrow that she's the first one to leave. And so the other sisters have mixed feelings about it, you know. Jo in particular, who's the next oldest one in age, her and Meg are very close. So for Meg to now be married and not living at home, even though she still lives close by, is still really difficult. And there's one point where it talks about Marmee, who is like filled with joy because she loves who Meg is marrying and knows that Meg will be well loved and well treated, but she still has this like inner sorrow because it's the very first little bird to fly the nest. And I think that was just like one line in the chapter, but I think that as a parent that hits me harder than it would have as a kid. I'm already thinking about those days, even though my daughter's only 9. It's just such a sad thought. And it makes me wonder how like my parents felt, because I got married very young. I was only 19. I got married and I moved 1,000 miles away 1 week after my wedding. And so my parents were fully supportive and absolutely loved my husband like a son, and so they were really happy for us. But my husband was going to college really far away, so we moved away, and I had a really hard time with it, obviously. I think I cried every day for like a month straight, because I had never really been that far away from my family, especially for that long. But I can't imagine how hard it was, like for my parents and my younger sister, who I was really, really close with. So it's kind of throwing that in a different light as well. I am a big time slacker and have not picked up the Iliad again, which is terrible. It's not like I dislike it. I just feel like my brain is having kind of a hard time with it right now. And I'm trying to respect that, I guess. I've had so many books this year that I have plowed through, even though I was having a hard time with it. And I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I read them. But it caused like such a massive reading slump for me, and made it really difficult because I kept doing that kind of back to back. So I'm kind of like honoring my mood, so to speak. I am gonna get back to this because I am enjoying it. Just Little Women just feels more nurturing to my heart right now, which sounds very dramatic, but it does. Like, it's just like exactly what I want to be reading right now. So I've just been focusing on that more and not focusing on the Iliad as much. I may pick it up at some point today because I have been wanting to dip back into it, but it's just been harder because I have to focus more than I do with Little Women, partly because of the way it's written and partly because I am already familiar with the story of Little Women. It is like drizzly and rainy outside, so it's like the perfect day to just chill at home and hopefully get some reading done. yesterday, and I didn't do any reading updates yesterday. Just didn't get around to it, I guess. But I did finish Little Women yesterday, and oh my goodness. This book is just like exactly what I needed right now. It's so wholesome and sweet and wonderful and brought me a lot of joy to read this. Having never read the book before, but having seen the 1994 movie, I had some thoughts about the ending that I really didn't like when I was a kid and adult watching that movie. I really didn't like who Joe ended up with and Amy ended up with. I thought that that should have been different. But when you read the book, the way that things are portrayed, the end pairings make so much more sense. And there's not this element of jealousy and regret in Joe at the end that there is in the movie. I feel like that was very much misconstrued to make more drama in the plot, but in all actuality, like, Joe really didn't feel that way at all. She was very, very happy how things ended up with her sisters. And I feel like the 1994 version is the only version I can remember seeing of Little Women. I haven't seen the 2019 one yet, and quite a few of you have told me that that is a better adaptation and one of your favorite adaptations of any book ever, so I really want to see that soon. But in the 1994 version, I feel like Amy really gets the short stick of things in terms of like character development. She just seems like a spoiled, snooty child, and she kind of is at the beginning, but she really, really grows, and her character has grown a lot before she even goes off to travel abroad, which, funny enough, she does not go with Aunt March in this story like Aunt Josephine. She goes with a different aunt, but you know, that's not something that bothers me that they changed, because they probably just didn't want to introduce a whole new character. But anyways, it does bother me now, and I haven't seen that movie in probably a good like over 10 years, but it does bother me because I feel like Amy is portrayed as something she's not, and so the ending of who she ends up with seems so weird. It seems so sudden and strange, and it is not. I mean, it is kind of sudden, but it still takes place over months and months. That's really not illustrated in the movie at all. Also, I don't remember Meg having her kids in the movie, but it's been years since I've seen it, so maybe she does. But that's just like such a delightful little like slice of life sections in there, because I mean, ultimately it seems like while the story is about the four sisters, like in part 2, the arcs that we follow the most are Joe and Amy, and so every once in a while we get chapters of Meg and her domestic life as she's adjusting to being married and becoming a mother, and I love those chapters. I think they're wonderful, and Meg is kind of the sister that I relate to the most in this story, so I really enjoyed having more context and more page time with Meg than the movies tend to give her. But this book is like, without a doubt, a 5-star book and a new favorite book of all time. Like, I loved it so much. And my dog keeps walking around, so if you keep hearing those like clicking noises, he's restlessly walking around because I'm filming out here, and now he's drinking water because this is what the animals do. This is why I normally film in a room where I could close the door, but I didn't today, and I'm paying for it. So I am about to go to church, and then beyond that, I don't really have any other plans today. So I am hopeful that I can get to the Iliad today and read at least one book of it, because I have not picked it up since last Sunday. I just felt like I didn't have like the mental bandwidth to put the effort into it that it requires and deserves. I mean, it's not like it's super difficult to read, it really isn't, but there are a lot of characters, a lot of players, a lot of things going on, especially in the beginning. I don't know, maybe the plot kind of narrows into the whole Trojan thing with Paris and Helen and stuff, maybe that is much more narrowed in future books. But the first few books, it's just like there's a lot of people and things going on that I'm not accustomed to, I guess, expect when I think of that story, when I think of like the Trojan horse and all of those stories that take place surrounding that. But I've never read the Iliad, so makes sense that there would be elements to it that I'm not as familiar with, because I'm just familiar with kind of like the basic overall plot. So we will see what I get to. I have been very gracious with myself in terms of allowing myself to mood read more, both last month and this month, and not forcing myself through books that I just don't feel like reading. So I probably do need to crack down and kind of like force myself to read more of it, because I was enjoying it while I was reading it. I just haven't felt like picking it up since then. And I had so many other books that I wanted to read that I was supposed to be reading that I just went for those instead. But the Iliad is the last book on my classics TBR for 2021, and so I really do want to finish it, because then that TBR is complete. So we'll see, but I do want to pick that up again. Well, I figured it is time to wrap up this reading vlog. I don't know how much more reading I'm gonna get done, but I did read book 3 of the Iliad, so making progress on that. I liked it a lot more than book 2. We're introduced to Helen and have a little more reinforcement of some of the main players in the book, which is helpful. And then, because I don't have enough to read, I started The Lost Property Office by James Hannibal. This is a middle grade book that I picked up at my library because it looked really interesting. Like, this cover's really pretty. Hoping there's no glare. There we go. It just looked like a really fun one. The description inside says 13-year-old Jack Buckles can find things, not just a missing glove or the other sock, but things normal people have long given up on ever seeing again. Mysterious things, magical things. If only he could find his father, who has disappeared in London without a trace. So I am about 9 chapters in. Not far at all. It has very steampunky vibe, which I don't know if I'm gonna like, because steampunk is not my favorite vibe, but I loved the cover, and I have a couple middle grades that I've picked up from the library and just haven't had a chance to get to, so I hope that maybe I can get to those this month. I'd love to hear from you down in the comments below. What have you been reading lately? And if you've read any of the books that I have talked about in this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts on them. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me, and I will see you again next time.